Canadian movies pretend that they're not Canadian. I find it sad and that they're trying to like approximate American content, because what's interesting about Canada is like that we're like a nation of repressed freaks, and the films that I love by like David Cronenberg and Guy Madden and Patricia Rozema like really indicate that. And as a fellow repressed freak, I just want to like make cinema that like speaks to, you know, my own experiences and stuff. So to do stuff that's like unabashedly Canadian and kind of showcase like whether it's like the streets of Burlington, Ontario, or you know, the Mile End, which is a really specific, singular, and super fascinating neighborhood where I, you know, spent my adolescence. Like it's like a real pleasure and kind of honor to like document that, and also kind of like just talk, like I guess honestly about my own experiences.
Well, how much has Montreal changed as a city since then? I'm only going to make it about me because it's relevant. It's because I made a show that took place in Toronto recently, but it was animated, and they're trying to.
He did the Scott Pilgrim reboot on Netflix.
But anyway, the point of that is there's actual relevance to this anecdote, which is that we sent a bunch of artists to Toronto for reference, but everything from the time period had changed so much that you couldn't go to any of the places that were referenced from mid like 2005-ish, because Toronto has changed so much. Has Montreal like changed a lot, or less so?
I mean, it depends who you talk to. I think there's like purists that are like, there's a Lululemon on St. Theodore, like burn it all down.
Montreal purists, man.
But there's also like these pockets that kind of feel like a film set, you know, that just like are like perfectly preserved. And I always feel like when I'm walking around the Mile End, there's this like ghost version of myself when I'm 24, like, you know, stumbling around like heartbroken and confused, and like walking into that dépanneur, or like, you know, trying to get into that laugh party. And yeah, so I think for me it's like very poignant. It's like one of the last places I think that like still sort of feels the same as when I first experienced it, but you know, I think that's like the impermanence of like doing anything like with art. Like you're trying to reflect your own experiences, but then how much of that is like your memory? Can you actually trust it, and like what's actually true?
So Barbie, how important is it to you to play very complicated characters, or people who have flaws in great relatable ways?
I feel like incredibly important. I mean, it sounds boring if it wasn't a flawed character. I don't know, I love playing a freak. I feel like I found a really good lane for myself. I feel like I've, you know, kind of carved that out. I'm like, I'll play a freak. I'll play a weirdo freak. And whatever way that comes about, that if that's, you know, an 18th century orphan, orphan, or if it's someone in 2011, you know. Thank you. So, yeah, very important. I feel like weird, freaky women and their stories have always been my favorite. I think everyone can agree with that, let's be honest here. Are we gonna do like just some normal, well-adjusted bitch? No thanks. So, yeah.
So, what was it like having to deal with an insane band member as your counterpoint? Was that fun, or just like having the lead singer play someone who was quote-unquote the worst person in Montreal? Did you feel like you were the voice of reason in the band, or did you feel like not, like from your perspective?
Oh, me? No, I kind of was like, let him cook. For me, Archie kind of is like, you know, I'm not trying to make much noise here. I'm just trying to get through this moment. No, it was fun. It's fun to watch Glenn Stanley Simons, who's incredible, like an incredible actor, do his thing. But then also just like, yeah, in the band, he felt like more like, yeah, this is just a means to an. This is just a moment, you know.
So Chandler, what is it like? It's very hard getting a movie made, and you somehow have 2 fucking movies coming out at the exact same time. What's it like being a big deal? How's it feel? As a Canadian, you're gonna be modest, but come on, it's pretty cool.
Thank you. I don't know, it's very surreal. Barbie also has 2 movies coming out within a week of each other. Not to brag.
Right, Danny. He directed it. He right
Yeah,
there.
the Faces of Dead.
They're both very intense movies in completely different ways, is how I would review it.
And I've seen it, it's awesome, and she's incredible at it. But Yeah, my other film is an Adam Sandler movie that I directed for Happy Madison. It's coming out on Netflix called Roommates, and it's good. I don't know.
When you met, you were like, oh yeah, I gotta go back to Jersey tomorrow. I'm directing a movie Adam Sandler's producing, and I was like, you're what? So the fact that you did both of these almost on top of each other is really impressive and difficult. And congrats on that.
Thank you. It was really hard. I had to finish post on this movie while we were shooting it, so I would fly back from Newark to Toronto every weekend and work on the sound mix, and then come back and be on set. And yeah, and it's so weird that they're coming out on the same day, but in a way it makes sense. And the best, obviously working with Sandler was the greatest comedy education I've ever had, and I'm so grateful for it. But it also taught me that I only want to wear basketball shorts for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of that. Okay, so my last question will be the most cliche one. Do any of you have a fun memory from set?
Plenty. I think a fun memory was right before we started shooting. We all went out to karaoke. That was cute. Right, Devin? What about you?
These types of questions make me have to remember my life, and it's a really hard thing to do, from last week to last year.
I'm sorry, dude.
I'm so sorry. I'm thinking about it. I don't know, all of the loft parties, I guess, were it really felt like we were actually just all hanging out. So I don't know. And playing the shows. And smashing the guitar,
I wanted to ask about that. Was that fun? Or was it
fun,
tedious?
It's fun the first time, and then you're like, I'm hurting my back. I'm always playing a guy whose face is burnt off and is dead in the toilet. So my back already hurts from slipping and falling and being speared into trees and shit. So smashing a guitar in half eventually is that's the last straw.
So you're a guy who does his own stunts, is what you're saying.
Not because I'm supposed to.
I think the poetry reading day was really, really fun, and that was really beautiful because there were real Montreal writers that were doing their work, and it just felt I went to so many poetry readings that were at the side of an abandoned alleyway, or in front of a police station, and they'd be we're reading in defiance of the cops, and and I don't know, it was really nice to remember those moments and kind of memorialize it. And there were a couple days on set that just felt sort of remote. I felt we're living the movie while we were making it, and I think that's kind of the nicest thing. I remember I interviewed Richard Linklater once, and I was I'm making a hang-up movie, which I think is a genre that you invented. So what is the secret to making a hang-up movie? He's just get your cast to hang out with each other, man. And it's true. It's that is the secret of a great hang-up movie. It's just finding people who like each other, spending time with each other, and cultivating that opportunities for them to get to know each other better. He'd be just show up late, show up 20 minutes late, get them to hang out with each other. You're not even there, man. It's gonna be good. And I don't know. I just think that it was just so nice to see them not only kind of bond as actors, but become genuine friends.
Actually, I'm gonna do one last question. What is the most important thing you learned from Adam Sandler?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know it's tough.
I don't know. I think he just doesn't give a fuck.
That's cool.
And I wish I gave less of a fuck. And it's just him. He loves to collaborate. I feel making films, making comedy is his love language. So any kind of person that he has a great idea, or he can get a great joke from, or he just always wants to top things and make them better. And I think when you watch his films, you feel there are these effortless things that just kind of came together. But there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on the set of Grown Ups 3. He is working those scripts and those jokes and all of those beats, and he cares so much, and he just wants to make something awesome that people connect with and take comfort in. So I think it's both him working so hard and caring so much about every element of it, but then also kind of just the confidence he has and what he finds funny that I really took from that. He really is the auteur of all of his films.
I think that's a great way to end it. I just want to everyone do us a favor, tell all of your friends that this is the real Super Mario Brothers movie, and that you loved it on, social media or real life or whatever. And thank you for coming out. And any other movie that's mentioned up here, you should watch it.